want to thank you for taking the time to speak with me today. Can you please tell me your name?
My name is Etorian Hines, and I am a military veteran, and my MOS was a 25 uniform.
So I just want to let you know this interview is for educational purposes and not therapy in any type of way, but it's a way for us to learn from your experiences. Now, you can skip any question if you're not comfortable answering. So is it okay if I continue?
Yes.
Okay. So I know you were just saying that you was a 25 uniform. Okay, can you please tell me what was that?
A 25 uniform is a signal support satellite system specialist. I know it's a mouthful, but generally we were the guys and gals who could go into any communications, so when in the military, each number, whether it's a 14 or a 25 or whatever your number is, there's letters associated with it. A 25 uniform, better known as a unicorn, could go into any 25 series and fill that particular slot. So unlike a 25 Bravo who specializes in like computers and switches and routers, as a 25 uniform, I could fill the spot of a Bravo, or I could fill the spot of a Charlie, or I could fill the spot of any other 25 series. So that's, we are the jack of all trades of the military.
Oh, perfect. I did not even know that. Now, does that go for any number, such as the 14s, in which that's what I was?
I can't speak of the 14 series because I wasn't a 14,
Gotcha.
But I was taking spots of the 14s too. But nah, I'm messing with you. I don't know nothing about them Patriots or the missiles. I know enough about them, how they stack up, and the importance that they are having today in this day and age. But in general, though, I really don't know much about them. I know they aim at the sky, and air attack, renegade strong.
Right. Perfect. Now, we were both in the military and in the same unit together. However, you were actually in the unit before me in Korea. And I know we actually knew each other since we was little kids, probably around second, third grade. But although you were in the unit before I deployed there, I would like to get more of your story and the background of your life. So can you tell me a little bit about your family, such as who is in it, the roles, around the time you first signed up?
Okay, so if we're sticking to the time frame of when I specifically signed up, I have a very unique story. So I signed up in 11th grade, September 21st, 2006. And I know that day specifically because my ex-girlfriend at that point in time was trying to figure out what I was going to do for us as far as, the man in the relationship. And, my I didn't grow up traditionally in a regular household with a mom and dad. I kind of went through a couple of things, so therefore I didn't really have a good example as to what the proper career path consisted of, or what that looked like, what was the flavor for that. So for myself, I had to pick and choose from the people around me in order to understand my better path forward. So after considering a lot of things prior to my junior year, I was kind of wondering how I was going to live my life, because again, I didn't have parents to talk to me about college. I didn't have parents to talk to me about grants and how to, survive once I passed them house. The conversation I had was, if you're considering college, that's fine, but we're not going to pay for it. And we're not going to put our name, any kind of loans or nothing. They was like, we ain't doing any of that. So I felt defeated, and I felt like the people who were supposed to encourage me didn't have that. So in turn, what I did was I figured the military would be the best place for me to not only learn a trade, learn a craft, learn a skill, but also be paid from it, be fed, and have somewhere to live. So, all those things happened to align for me. And I signed up my junior year of high school, and that let me, kind of be at peace for my senior year and actually mold out the rest of my life, because I didn't have to take a lot of the SATs or ACTs due to the fact that I already had a solid plan. I already had the contract in my hand. So there was no ifs, ands, but about it. Why take a college test if you're not going to college? So I based a lot of my decisions off that. My parents, they didn't really care. My dad told me he wanted me to get a desk job due to the fact that I have a speech impediment. But I was like, I don't want that. I don't want my life to be limited due to this particular, I guess some would classify it as a disability, but for me, it's just a part of life. So with all that being said, that's why the military was the best option for me, because I figured that was the only place that was going to teach me and also allow me to form a valid career path and, earn some money, because ultimately, if you ain't got that money, you ain't got too much of nothing in this day and age.
So, can you talk to me a little bit about your family that you have now and the roles of your family today?
I currently am married to my wife, Alexandria Hines, and me and Alexandria share 6 children. Between us two, we have mixed children, of course. We have children from my previous marriage. So we have a very diverse household now, but there's currently, my mom also lives with us. So, and I have a standard poodle. He's a pretty big dog. So in all, there's 3 adults, 5 children, and a dog, all in my house now. We live in Waxahachie. And one of the things that, one of my driving forces for getting this particular house was I always wanted a place for my family. And that was one of the things that the military taught me, to always be able and be ready to house those around you. So, I made sure that I had a home in order to put these people who I call my family.
Gotcha. Okay. I know this is probably like a 3-part question.
But ask the part by part.
I want to know the exact thoughts, if you can remember, from day one of getting off the bus to go to basic training versus the day one of going to AIT versus the day one of you touching your very first unit. The experiences, the knowledge that you learned.
To now, or just speak about each one of those days?
Yes, each one of those days.
Okay.
Day one of touching basic training.
I'm just trying to get breathing room in the video so we can cut it and roll into it. Okay. Day one of basic training was a bit of a hell week. I actually wish I would have known about this question, because I journaled every day for those first few days, and I actually still have those journal entries. We will probably make an insert of those entries. But those first few days, I was, the shock of it all was because I was taking that leap of faith, that step into my new life. And for that moment, it was like a realization of the transformation that was about to take place. So it was like, boom, it's here, it's time, it's now. Then next we roll into the first day of AIT, which is after basic. So when I get to AIT, I'm feeling a little more confident now, because I've now graduated from basic. So I've proven it to myself, and I've proven it to the drill instructors that I can do it, and they in the Army deemed me worthy. So therefore, it was a sense of pride. It was a sense of accomplishment, because, this was saying that now that I was trained basic as a soldier, now we're going to go into the specialized job training. And for me, day one, it was very exciting for me because I had a bonus. So I knew as soon as I got done, $20,000 in the bank account. So I really was very excited about that, because now I know that this journey was a step closer. But there was definitely a lot of anxiety there, because now it's a whole new learning curve. It's a new sense of understanding, a new set of information, and a new obstacle in which I have to not only accomplish, but then balance life with it. So, it was just a reassessing moment to, be happy that I was over one hump, but now preparing myself for this next leg of the journey.
Okay.
That was 2. What was number 3? I forgot.
3 was
You said
your very first day touching the real unit.
The real unit.
Yes.
Gotcha. Now, when it comes to backtrack. The first day at a quote unquote real unit, my real first unit was 4588 in Fort Hood, Texas. It's formed, I think now it's Fort Chavez or Fort something. It was Fort Hood, Fort Chavez. In Killeen, Texas. We'll post the right name for it up here somewhere. My first day there, again, it was a shocker because it was hot. It was hot. I heard a couple of rumors, like the 2 hottest places people have ever been. What 3 hottest places was Afghanistan, Georgia, and Texas. And I had just left Georgia because that's where my basic training was. So now I was back in Texas, and I'm from Dallas. So, I was used to the heat. So yeah, I came back to a different set of heat. So my first day here, dead in the summer, hot, scorching. But again, now it was another realization shock because now I'm worthy of passing basic. I'm worthy of passing AIT. Now, can I make it in the real Army? Or so I thought. But that's another story for another day. But yeah, so now I was faced with the realization of, can I make it in the real Army? Do I have what it takes to actually be battle ready now? Because according to the military standard, we were battle ready. We were mentally tough. We were professionally trained at our warrior tasks and drills. Yeah. And then so it was like a sense of nervousness because these people around me had already accomplished certain goals in which I'm still aiming to accomplish. So just trying to figure out my place, just trying to be ready to serve my country. Like I was excited to be there, like any young troop is when they get to their first unit. Very excited.
I do want to know, kind of backtrack, I'm sorry. Question just appeared. Basic training graduation. Did mom, dad, relatives show up for you? If they did, how was that reunion? If you graduated AIT, how was that reunion?
So when I graduated basic training, my father and my girlfriend at that time and her brother came down from Dallas. It was disappointing only due to the fact that the people who decided to come, I love them, I appreciate them, in the moment, although I'm not with my ex anymore, but in the moment, I was happy to see family. I was happy to genuinely see people who were happy for me. And that did, help boost my confidence. Excuse me. The disappointment came for the people who didn't come, the family members who didn't come, the family members who say, oh, I'm here to support you, but then when it comes time to show it, when it comes time to actually be there, nobody who said those words showed up. But and the second part about it, when my dad and girl did come, I had to pay for all of that. So it was also like a bittersweet moment because had I not paid for it, I wouldn't have had the rental car to come down, wouldn't have had the gas to come down. And it's not like my dad didn't have it. I just felt like if I didn't take the work to be sure that the proper lanes to me were accessible, it wasn't gonna happen.
Mail call, basically. AIT, cell phone call, visitations, phone calls, mail. What was that experience, and who did you think you got the most letters, or who did you call? What was that?
The most letters I got was from my ex because we was together at that point in time. I did write home, but I just used those particular times, those phone call times for like the immediate family. But the penmanship, that right there was to the ladies because I got a chance to, really express that mental. You missing me, I'm missing you. When we get together, I'm really laying it down thick before 9 o'clock because we only got certain couple minutes for them lights out because 4 o'clock coming soon. And then especially if you got guard dude at 2:30. Like somebody else who didn't want to wake up. Cause more people didn't want to wake up, but we ain't gonna call them out. But it's all the Blue Falcons. But it's all good. Now, in the reality though, mail call. Hearing from reading the letter that someone took the time to actually write to you, it actually it's uplifting. It's one of those joyous moments, especially when it happened all the time continuously, because trust me, it's some people who get no mail at all, don't get nothing, they ain't got no support. So when you sitting there get them letters back and forth, especially if you don't spray it a little bit so you can fan that smell of home. Hey, it changes your mental. It allows you to be more focused and more understanding, because at first I didn't really understand why, but that's the point. You got to have a why. And those letters, that sense of morale, it gave people a reason to keep enduring certain things that they mentally have never endured ever in their life, because basic was a complete shock for everybody. So that moment of family, that moment of communication, that moment of purpose, it really meant a lot for a lot of people. And for those people who didn't get it, hey, I hate that for them, but I was luckily and glad that the young lady who I was with at that point in time provided me with that particular support. So kudos to her.
Awesome. Now I kind of want to just touch on your military life experience next. So what has military life been like for your family, you and your family overall?
Military life for me and my family overall is a bit spread out. For example, like most veterans, I'm divorced. So there's the military family that I had in the military, wife and children and everything. And then once I got out, me and my ex-wife split up. And now me and my current wife, she still has to deal with me going to the VA, the benefits, or the understanding everything that comes with being a veteran versus when I was actually actively in service, which was its own set of benefits and its own set of particular duties. So it just really varies on which avenue that we're approaching that particular day, whether it's dealing with the what I forget the name, but that they call the insurance. But whether it's dealing with the insurance, that's insurance, but could be secondary insurance. I forget the name of it, but no, I ain't talking about that one. I'm talking about the other one. TRICARE is the one you got. If you sign up immediately when you get out to continue the payment, and then once you get your rating, then it takes over. That TRICARE is one thing. Ain't the other one that the other veterans get. Exactly. It's not even talked about that much. That it's good and terrible all at the same time. Much rather get Medicaid. But so whether you're exploring the insurance and coverage and medical section, whether you're exploring the education section, education for your spouse, education for your children, education for yourself, it's different avenues, because not only am I trying to set myself up to be better for my family, but also I'm trying to be sure that my family maximizes the opportunities that the VA and my time in service has to offer to them. So each experience is different in its own, because each one of them takes a different part of your mental. It takes a different part of your understanding. It takes a different part of, the goalpost is different. So of course you have to traverse each track in its own manner. So I don't know if that answers your question.
Yes.
Yeah.
What are some of the biggest challenges that you faced in the military?
Some of the biggest challenges that I faced in the military, one of the most biggest challenges that I faced in the military was promotion. Due to the fact that, I was a little bit bigger than most, I was a little bit bigger than most, but that particular trait was the thing that held me back because due to the fact the regulation is black and white. If you don't meet what the regulation says, it's a no-go, plain and simple. But there are some exceptions. There are some, waivers and things. So I would always, I had to get in the military on a waiver, and I stayed in the military on a plenty of waivers because my performance never degraded. I was great at PT. I could run. I could sing cadences. Yeah. So I was that guy when it came to physical fitness. But I had to be that because I knew that that was my weakest section. When the knowledge part and everything, had that part down pat. And the second worst thing that I had to deal with in the military was my stutter. And the reason why I say that is because the original first sergeant that I had in my first unit, I had him for about 6 months before he transitioned out of the military, and we got a new a new first sergeant. But I seen him some years later, and he actually told me, "Hey, I'm surprised you're still in the military, man. Because when I first got you, I didn't send you to school or nothing because you had the stuttering thing, and I thought you were stupid. I thought you were like slow in the head. So therefore, exactly. So he said to protect you, I just wanted to be sure that you were good here, and baseline instead of trying to send you out here to all these people. But in all actuality, that was when I was at my prime, when I was at my best. So." After being there for years, figuring out, why I was so stagnant, it was due to the fact that that word had been passed down by the leaders, unbeknownst to me, that hey, he cool, he's a high speed soldier, but he got a stutter. So and the mentality I got from behind that was, okay, I'm good enough to be a soldier, but I'm not good. But you don't believe I'm good enough to lead soldiers or be in a position of leadership. So therefore, I believe that was one of the things, my biggest things that held me back. The entire thing is due to the fact that I had a weight thing. Although I failed one PT test. That's because once I realized that the weight thing was always going to flag me, I just said fuck it, and I just walked off. I didn't continue the PT test. So those are the only failures that I had. So the weight thing, bro, and the stuttering thing, that right there was like the only thing, the only reason why I'm out now.
Well, okay. Oh, yeah. My mind just went to a different place where I was thinking of horrible soldiers that.
Yeah, so plenty of shit bags that are still there, bro.
Sergeant Edger. Logan. I'm sorry, my
bro. I was talking about, look. I'm gonna definitely cut this, but it's a young lady who I'm training up right now to go into the Air Force. She made it up. She's in the MEPS phase now. She's waiting on the job that she wants, and I told her, trust me, wait on the job that you really want, because being in that position and actually having actually being in a place of desire, a place that you want to be, it'll take your military career way further than just being a gate guard.
Exactly.
It'll take way further than just being a gate guard, like miles.
Exactly.
So,
Exactly. So give me some positive or meaningful.
Can you repeat the question for me?
What are some positive or meaningful aspects for military life for you?
Gotcha. Some of the most positive and meaningful aspects about military life is the concept of family. No matter what, no matter where I went, no matter what day it was, I always felt as if I had a sense of family. Especially when, I was sitting in Korea, already going through a mental, battle about being away from home my first time. And that was an experience in itself. But to see a childhood friend walk in the door, it was like an explosion of relief, of love, because I knew that someone was there to understand the struggles that I was going through. Because being from where I'm from, you have to understand there's a mental struggle, there's a mental understanding about being in a foreign land, taking that step as a man, taking that leap of faith. So, that the brotherhood of family really was one of those big things to the big things that I love. The second thing about it is the military opens up a lot of doors. Like it's like a cheat code in life for those people who ain't got it figured out. Especially, if you're good at following rules and you're pretty physically fit. The military, I believe, is always the place to go. The education, it'll be free the whole time while you're in. If you choose to take classes while you're in, there's gyms are free. Like right now, I'm paying $21 for a membership that I barely get to use because I work so much. But on the military base, gyms on every block. Gyms on every block. Like there's no reason not to be physically fit when you're in the military because you have these resources available to you. The second thing, the third thing, I mean, there's once you're out of the military, there's the benefits that you had in, plus now, to me, it's like a DD 214. Honorably, it's equivalent to a degree, not quite a master's, but sometimes it trumps a bachelor's in regards to experience and respect. So those are some of the key things. I wish I could save money. I wish I could save money, but that's not always the case, especially if you're single and you don't have any children. Now, I'm not saying go to have children just to make more money, but if you're married, the military does compensate you for your spouse. It compensates you for each additional children that you have. There's COLA, there's cost of living, so your pay just according to the economy's debt level and things like that. I'm not sure the specific calculations, but the COLA, that comes from the military. So whatever numbers they calculate, that affects your pay. So in a sense, it's great that it keeps up with that, but it's still below some standards. But again, you got to look at what all you get. You get the housing, you get food, especially if you got a family, you can live on the base. Your kids can go to school on the base. That way that a lot of this shit is protected and you're not financially responsible for a lot of these things if that's the route that you choose to go. But the military has all of that available for you. They're really setting you up for success. It's just about the choices in what you make once you're there. I didn't make the best of choices, but I think I'm pretty good now. Okay.
I got a theory.
Come on.
I always told people, I feel maybe a little biased, but I feel like people from the South make great soldiers. They last longer. We have that yes sir, no sir, that Southern hospitality. We from the South, you make your bed up when you wake up. You brush your teeth. You've been raised a certain standard. I've seen soldiers from the North, bad hygiene, don't last in the military. That's just my theory. What are your thoughts? What if you was to say, what is a great soldier? What is the person that will last in the military? What do you think he will?
So from what I've known, for people I've known who retired out of the military, one of the things that one of the continuous characteristic traits in which they have indeed is respect. A respect that's embedded in them from childhood. As you said, people who were raised properly, yes sir, no sir, you won't really have a problem with, saying yes or no sir, because you've already grown accustomed to your life about saying yes and no. You don't really have a problem with following directions because, again, if you can follow direction in life, you can follow directions in the military. You don't really have an issue with that. Also, the people who I know who have, again, retired, they're free thinkers and self-starters, meaning we'll follow a framework that's already laid out and we'll, build upon that, but we also like the freedom to make adjustments to said plans. When you go to corporate America, although it's a little more it's a little more it's the mindset of the people in corporate America, because in the military everyone has that mindset, and that's one of the things that's one of the problems that veterans have, is switching that mindset and being around people who their why is different. The reason why you're here is different, because when you go to the military, this job comes with the possibility of death. That's just, regardless of the fact, it comes with a possibility of death. But when you go to work at Verizon in a call center, you're not really considering the possibility of death. That's not in the contract. So therefore, their rhyme and reasoning about how they go about things is different from the people in the military. The people in the military who make it, their rhyme and reasoning about how they go about things is just different. Their why, their drive, their determination is different. And for those soldiers who get out early, if you think about it, 9 times out of 10, somebody done fucked them over, unit done fucked them over, nobody supported them, or like some of the ladies I know, they were in incidents. They were in incidents that involved some SA. Those are the safe words for it, SA. And then they got out of the military because they mentally didn't feel supported. So therefore, there's so many things in the military that makes a perfect soldier, that makes us want to stay there, and the drive, the support, the reason why, the people who have that thing, it's hard to quantify and put words to it, but it's like a thing. It's like an internal desire that other people can recognize within other people, which I believe that's why veterans, we can kind of identify each other and kind of, have a familiar feeling with each other, because we know we both took on the oath to go and fucking protect this country that dislikes us. But we still said, we still rose our hand and went and said, I'll do it. There's a lot of people who are eligible and qualified who won't take that particular step.
Gotcha. And I heard you touch on becoming the perfect soldier. So how easy is it, or how difficult is it to adjust to be the perfect civilian, as far as getting out the military and being a civilian? How do you adjust to that? Have you had any problems, or did you have an issue adjusting to being a civilian again?
I have had 1,003 problems with adjusting to being a civilian. Again, especially when it comes to mindset on things, people who haven't left their city, like I'm gonna just speak from the South, because, excuse me, I'm gonna just speak from the South. When it comes to Dallas, Texas, there's a lot of people who haven't left Dallas, so they haven't really expanded their mind frame of how the world really works. So to a lot of people, this is it. This how you run the hood, how your consistent grind of just going to work and back. For most people, that becomes ingrained in them. And like I said, society needs those people, because it's like boys, that's y'all.
I don't know what the hell that was. I ain't never heard that damn. Continue. It must be a game.
Okay, I hope so.
What you think is a bomb?
I know it ain't no bomb. This motherfucker, I'm your ass. Oh, I forgot the question.
Yeah, being adjusting to the civilian life.
Civilian life. When it comes to transitioning from military life to civilian life, I've had a lot of issues and concerns, and I believe that's part of the reasons why I'm no longer in corporate America, because I just couldn't get jiggy with the mindset. The money was great, but when you're in the military, you're around people who willing to die for this shit. They're not gonna just say anything because we already know we putting our life on the line. Like when we actually deploy, when we actually in the thick of it, you got to be willing to die for this shit, right? But when I was working at my corporate America job, like people just were so arrogant and just could, believe that they can talk and say and do whatever they want because they've been at this job for 20 years and, they've been doing this for 35 years and it's all within this same niche of things. It's not like a diversified, experience of life. When you go in the military, say basic training is already its own experience. From the gas chambers to, having to fight people with bugle sticks. There's people out here who ain't never been in fights. That's a part of basic training. There's people out here who's scared to have a fist fight. In the military, say we always talk about going to we take it to the wood line, bro. That's basic training. Like there's people who consider fighting each other as a relief, but if you tell your coworker Steve, let's go out here in the street and run it. Steve gonna call the police on you. Now your ass is going to jail. Now you tagged as being the crazy veteran and everything. So, the rules and regulations from the military versus the civilian life, it's truly two different worlds. The military is its own world that's operating within the world of civilians.
I truly agree. You know, as far as civilian life, you can say what you want, get on Instagram, say what you want, do what you want. In the military, you control your tongue. You bite your tongue.
Man,
Keep your thoughts in your head.
Because there's rules and regulations behind that, but also too, it's a level of respect. Everybody has an opinion, but there's a time and a place to voice your opinion, and there's a way to voice your opinion so that way you're not respecting your elders. You're not disrespecting your elders. Again, that comes from the way you was raised. If you was raised, in a way that supports that theory and that knowledge, it's not a big deal. But for others, unfathomable.
The next topic I want to discuss is trauma and adversity. Now I know you were stationed, I believe you said in Fort Hood.
Yes.
Would you have had any experiences with adversity, trauma, military shootings, Fort Hood shootings, anything of that nature? And if so, just speak on it.
One of the most disturbing experiences that I've had in the military that the trauma from that experience still bothers me to this day is the November 5th shooting. The November 5th shooting took place in Fort Hood, Texas. And it was one of those days that will be forever etched in my mind because not only did a lot of people lose their lives unnecessarily, but the fact of the matter is the person who did it was an officer, was a general. I mean, it was a major at that point in time, Major Hassan. And it was a person who, in the military, we have to respect officers. Like, you have to show this person, a level of respect because that's what's in the black and white. So therefore, when the soldiers first, encountered this guy, for those who recognize him for his rank, would may have been caught off guard due to the simple fact of I have to respect this guy for his rank, but then he turns around and opens fire, and I don't have to go into what the story was, but that was a traumatic experience because the people there were either coming or going. and we had just came back from overseas, and to not experience that overseas and for the people who were coming back from war zones. Luckily, we would just come back from Korea. But for those people who were coming back from war zones who survived that, and just to get back home, like we was there for 3 days. Day number 3, we was just coming, supposed to be doing our check-ins, doing that, and then yeah, like super traumatic because again, it's just like it really messed with me in the regards to people of authority, because that person was a person of authority. He held a certain amount of respect, and with that, with the, I don't know if it was the traumas of his job or just him as a person, I really don't give a fuck. But yeah, like countless amounts of people lost their lives. Uh, countless amount of people got hurt. Like there was chaos. Like and it wasn't just the soldiers there, because everybody's family on that goddamn post was worried. I didn't have my phone. Yeah. Nobody had my phone because mine, we just got back. So I had like a track phone, and those back then when you had minutes still. So I didn't really have no minutes on my phone. So the little phone I did have was left in the truck, and I rode with my roommate. And yeah, shit was crazy, but yeah.
So typically that would leave certain type of diagnosis such as PTSD, major depression, things of that nature. So with that trauma, with that level of trauma, does any of that affect you or anyone that you know, or what does that look like? Like, how do you feel about being around lots of people or being in enclosed environments, or just like you said, not trusting authority? How does that impact a soldier just with that one circumstance or similar circumstances?
That one particular instance can impact soldiers in various ways. One of the ways that it impacts me personally is the fact that, again, it has trust in authority, because the people of power could one day choose to use that power against you and then harm others. There's always a possibility there, regardless if it's a manager at Burger King or the military commanding officer of a full battalion, right? We all are human at the end of the day, and humans have a tendency to be tempted by certain things or to be swayed due to whether it's religious reasons or personal values. So when something like that happens to you, you automatically, any kind of trauma, you look at the person who committed that trauma towards you, and you automatically have a disdain, like a feeling of like like a feeling, but and if you're not careful about that, you will begin to target everything that mentally reminds you of that particular trauma. For example, a lot of people who got killed overseas, those people's family consider us baby killers, right? They didn't go over there to kill no kids. But then it's like, if something after something like this happens, it's like I'm ready to go back and fight, because I light all you motherfuckers up simply off the fact of you didn't give a fuck when you came over here and pulled the trigger on us. So why should I give a fuck when it's my job? At least I'm getting paid to do it. You did that shit off the strength of just, just on your personal values. Well, not only am I going off my personal value of vengeance, but I'm also getting paid for this shit. I'm also making the world safer, so that way you won't have, nobody else would be susceptible to this particular experiences. And again, if that mentality is left unchecked, it could be, lead veterans down a black hole, because now you'll be in a constant state of vigilance, a constant state of looking around, seeing who's this, who's that, because I just learned this terminology called killing math. Killing math is me as an individual, you as an individual. If something breaks out between us and it's life or death, what is it going to take me to kill you? And veterans run through that shit a lot. We don't even know we don't even know the rhyme and reason why. Simply because there could be an attack at any moment. And when you've been through an instant attack, it's like, okay, what's the survivability rate? Again, what's the closest exit? Luckily for me, we had just got there. So we was able to get out of the danger pretty quickly. But when you right there in the thick of it, it's like, all right, you automatically start to mentally calculate, hey, how am I going to stop this? Am I going to survive? Am I going to try to attack this person? And like I said, a lot of these people had these thoughts, and some of these things happened. Some of these people tried to take them down, tried to rush them, cut down. So, you're killing math. You take all that into account. Like, my opponent? And after a while, after being consistent in that mindset, the world becomes your opponent. And that's the dangerous part about it. Because people started assuming that everybody's after them. Then you see the people who's paranoid and the people who can't go nowhere because, they always looking around, or they jumpy and shit, or those are the people who can't go in the crowds because their killing math is steady, it's calculating high, because again, that comes based off our experiences. That comes based off what we did in the past. Regardless, anything from this moment forward, the decision that I'm going to make to say or act or do is based off my experience in the past. When I was in this scenario in the past, what did I do? What happened? What was the result? How did that make me feel? Was that a good thing or a bad thing? Okay, so now I'm presented with this opportunity again. With this scenario again. Last time I did this, and this was the outcome. So if I do this time, will the outcome be different? Do I want a different outcome, or do I want the same outcome? It depends on the last outcome. If it was positive, obviously I want another positive outcome. So therefore, I'm going to fight like I always know how to fight, because I know when I fight, I knock a motherfucker out. Ain't motherfucker can't get me on these hands, plain and simple. But also, too, I also know if he can bring a knife, okay, I can still fight him, but you might get stuck in the midst of that. But I also know if I'm coming up with my fist and he got a gun, absolutely not. I'm out of there. I'm going to have to catch you on another day, because my mental man, okay, it's not adding up. I'm going to get my ass popped or killed. So therefore, that right there is kind of the thing that can tear away and eat at veterans who have these traumatic experiences.
And I'm glad you mentioned everything that you just stated about what can impact a veteran, such as yourself or different veterans. And that's great. Now tell me, how does that impact the veterans' families? You're married? How does your past experiences affect your marriage, or your relationship with your children, or your relationship with co-workers, or how does that affect the surrounding people of the veteran?
So the way that those particular situations can impact those around you is based on the way the veteran will react to a certain situation, and they just so happen to be there. 9 times out of 10, it's going to be in protection of their family. It's going to be in protection of their friends. So therefore, the family gets to see and experience the veteran at a crisis state versus the everyday state. Because when the veteran hits protection mode is different from chill mode. Protection mode is different from daddy mode. When that switch flicks, like it's a whole new understanding. But the thing is, the triggers which causes that switch to flip. I have young sons. Like right now, my son's Aubrey. He's right here on the other side of the camera. Come here. Hurry up. So this is my baby boy Aubrey. He is what are you, 7?
Yes.
About to be 8, right? In August.
Yes.
Right? So, he don't like me sometimes because sometimes daddy it's hard on him, and sometimes I yell, but it's not to hurt his feelings because he's very smart. He just chooses not to do smart things, right?
True.
Yeah, like when you choose not to do your homework. And then after I discover weeks and weeks of homework that's not been done, come on, go on back over there now. So when I discover weeks of homework that haven't been done, I have to do something. I can't just, especially when we've talked about it, we've had, homework time sit down, we've implemented routines, and we've done all the gentle parenting thing. Now you have to come out and whoop some ass. And then, as a veteran, you know that you have a certain amount of strength, you have a certain amount of rage. So therefore, if you're not careful and calculated when you whooping ass, sometimes that force behind the whooping could be a bit greater. But again, it's not every veteran is cognizant of the strength in which they're enforcing when doing certain things. So kids can really take the the blunt end of the veterans' outbursts in disciplinary actions. Um, the wife can experience bad things when it comes to nightmares, terrors, angers, the feeling of, you should know this. Like, why the fuck I gotta explain this shit twice? Like, the fact of having a certain level of expectation from an adult. And that's because, when we go through basic training, now we expect everybody to know the basics. Like if we on the range, I'm not there to teach you how to work your weapon on the range. You should have learned that shit a long time ago. So therefore, when it gets to like a civilian job and your coworkers, it's like we all work together. If I know this shit, why don't you know this shit? You've been here longer than me. And then it gets frustrating because it's like, bruh, like what the fuck? Why are we doing this? Like why is this so hard? Why is this a hard concept to understand? And then with those frustrations, then, for some people, it's not always the best because they really don't know how to deal with that. They don't know how to deal with that coming from a veteran. In the military, we talk to each other like that all the time in the motor pool. We talk to each other like the conversations that go on at work. Let me tell you, like, not the most, not for the faint of heart. Like we call people shitbags left and right. Call people buddy fuckers, blue falcons, and we even have little terms like like a donkey dick. Donkey dick it sounds crazy, right? But it's the spout the spout that go on the gas can. So when you go to put gas in there, they tell you, "Hey, grab that donkey dick for me." And put it on the gas tank. Terrible name, but hey, that's what it is, Buddy fucker. Terrible term. Because, hey, but when the people who know what it means, that we know in the military, we understand. But when you call your coworker a buddy fucker, they can be like, whoa, hold on, who fucking who? we ain't doing it here. Well, who been talking? Then you bringing up the office party and the Christmas party, and now, hey, it's a whole bunch of other stuff. So just the realities, the lingo, the slang, the measurement of strength exerted when you have to exert strength. These are all the things that, people around the veteran have to experience when it comes to their particular traumas. Because again, that's what the veteran is reacting to. The trauma that they had in the past. Now I'm calculating this situation and now I'm adjusting myself accordingly should be the mindset in the perfect scenario. Sometimes other veterans I talk to, when they go in that fit of rage, they just black out. They just remember getting there and whatever happened, then they coming out of it. Oh man, I don't know what happened.
So We talked about your military life experience. We talked about your impact on yourself and your family. We even spoke on trauma and adversity. Now, this is going to be a good one. This is kind of like the meat of the interview. Talk to me about coping strategies, if possible. What has helped you and your family stay strong throughout all of the adversity? Is there anything that you typically do when you have a negative thought, a flashback, something like what do you typically do, or what have you heard that works, or something that you may have seen from another veteran?
All right. So when it comes to coping strategies, me personally, I believe that there's a few ways about going about this. First and foremost, the first thing that you have to do is understand that something's wrong. If you don't think nothing's wrong, then you will continue to experience life through this glass lens of yours, and this shit's gonna be fucked up. So therefore, once you accept the fact that something's wrong with you, and it's okay, like go to counseling, get yourself someone to talk to, someone to have, someone with some specialties in this particular area of the mind that can help you navigate these particular waters, because there's a rhyme and reason for everything, and counselors and therapists are there for your assistance. So don't be scared to utilize the resources. Talk to people. People understand what you're going through. Because you don't know what you don't know until you know. So therefore, that's the first thing, is speaking to somebody to understand your situation. Second thing, once you have somewhat of an understanding or a grasp of what's going on mentally, the next thing you should do is put together an action game plan of how to fucking be better. Because that's the point. A lot of people get stuck and wallow in their shit, and they'll be forever, something's wrong with me. Oh, I'm a PTSD veteran. Oh, I did this. Oh, I was in Vietnam. So get better, bro. Like, let's move on. You have to have the desire to be better. If you don't have that desire, there is no coping. Because the coping has gone out the window, because that person has automatically given themselves the excuse of this happened to me, so therefore, this is why I'm the way I am, and I'm just going to be this way because that happened to me in the past. So therefore, that there's no other strategy. But I do have to say, I took a very unconventional route. I took magic mushrooms, and I took them in a controlled setting once I understood what they were and what the outcome could possibly be, and what the strategies and how to consume them and everything. Once I did my research on magic mushrooms, and again, I broke it down to the psilocybin, and which active ingredient that is affects us, what makes us hallucinate, which brain receptors that is attacked. Like, I had to understand what was going on before I took this journey, because I really was going through first off, I was running from the Fort Hood stuff. I told a lot of people I wasn't there because, I mentally didn't have all the answers. I mentally was still angry. I mentally knew that I could have did something, but because I had a gun in the car. It's Texas. A lot of people have guns, so don't come at me about having a gun on the military base. It's a very normal thing. So so I was like, I got the gun, and I could just, but I was like, hell no, because this is already an active shooting situation. So what if they think I'm a part of this shit? I'm a black man, it probably ain't gonna end well for me. So therefore, I didn't do that, and I lived with that regret for a long time. So, after a while, I was like, why am I doing this to myself? Like, I shouldn't have a reason to be having bad dreams of seeing dead soldiers because of the fact of it's something that was out of my control. And maybe that was just my mind playing tricks on me. But once I got the mushrooms and I took them it helped me kind of understand what was in me that was causing me to feel that way. And once I figured it out, I had like this big like epiphany, like this big moment of clarity, this moment of that's what it was. And it was like some soul searching, bro. And like when it came on, it was like literally, so when somebody take off like a big jacket, you know, you like a big quilt, you know, when you hold it on, it's on your shoulders, it's comfortable, and you've worn it so long that you got to tuck it in under, so you know now you're comfortable in that blanket. But then once you realize you got to take that blanket off, because you can't navigate life with this blanket on all the time. There's a time to have on a blanket. There's a place to have on blankets. Walmart ain't one of them. Walmart ain't one of them. I'm just saying.
So you did touch on something that I kind of want to just backtrack on.
Yeah.
Counseling, therapy, talking. And then you also talked on us being men, black males. And I just don't even want to just zone into black males, but I want to just zone in and being males and therapy and counseling and males talking to each other about problems. The VA, Veteran Affairs, counseling, however you will. How do you, from your experience, do you think more men go to counseling? More veteran males go to counseling? More veteran males go to the VA?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. No. No, they do not. Why? Because first off, in this culture of the men that's older than me, I'm 38. I'm almost 40. So for these people who are older than me, you got to understand where they come from. Their understanding of counseling is getting somebody else in your business. So they come from a generation where that shit was a no-go. You handled your problems in the house. We handled it right here. And that's also how a lot of people were really resilient. But that's also how a lot of people had that locked in trauma, and then they passed that down to us, because we got, again, considering how they were raised, right? My dad was raised by my grandma. My grandma was raised by a former slave. So the mentalities that was passed down weren't necessarily the best. They was coming from a slavery like 3 generations ago. Like, it wasn't that long ago. Right? It wasn't that long ago. So these teachings are still being taught down. These teachings are still being passed down. So therefore, you know, these people, whether black males, white males, Caucasian, they're teaching us about the situations in which they had to cope through their methods. So therefore, again, counseling wasn't one of them, because we didn't always have access to counseling. You didn't always have people in the community to be open space to. And then, you know, for those people who did have those spaces, it wasn't affordable. It was out of reach. And even still beyond that, it was hard to implement the solutions given the conditions in which those people was in. So, but they still made it though. They still were resilient and got through it. And now these people are our fathers, grandfathers, uncles, mentors. So, you know, the people who have come to a lane of understanding that, you know, all of my problems can't be kept in house. They can't be solved with us doing whatever family traditions that you guys normally do when you comes to any kind of problem. A lot of people don't seek that exterior help because that's not what was taught to them. So I believe in order to change that and to make a difference, men like myself, men like other men who go to counseling, like we have to not only advocate for the young people to take on this particular role and path, because a lot of people who go to counseling, they get these epiphanies. It may not be right there in those 5 or 6 sessions, but at least that'll plant that seed, so that way, you know, 3 months, 6 months, maybe even a year later, you know, that seed will finally blossom for you, and a sense of understanding and purpose and hope would actually come from that. And also, depending on which counselor you go to, you could just be sitting on somebody's couch. You could have interactive counseling to where they're talking about, you know, your habits and, you know, the way how you move in the world. And like, I had one counselor to give me homework assignments. It was like, go out and be social. So what I want you to do is go out to like a social spot where there's a gathering of people. I just want you to speak to 5 people, say hello, ask them how their day was. I was like, why in the fuck would I do that, bro? I'm broke right now. Like, I need to go get some money. And he was like, no, you're trying to escape your situation. You're trying to go into this reclusive mentality of, okay, if I don't look at the situation, I don't have to deal with it. And once I realized that, like, oh, I do avoid a lot of shit. I do avoid a lot of places. I do avoid a lot of people simply off the strength of the matter. I don't want to deal with their shit. I don't want to deal with what you come with. I don't want to deal with just you as a person in general. And that's not just people, that's places, that's situations, that's certain environments, that's lifestyles, that's cities. Like, it's certain hoods. I don't want to go to certain hoods. Why? Because it's just like going into a war zone. Like, I'm not finna go into, especially unarmed, not able to carry a weapon, not able to carry my standard pack of 120 rounds, not able to carry my standard M16 882 with the fucking 3 magazines. I'm not able to do that. So why would I put myself in that place? So that's why I tell people we have to advocate for the safe, advocate for the understanding, especially when it comes to Black men, because we can easily be drawn off and we can easily be pulled away from the help that we're learning that's good for us, versus to be stuck in the old ways of, well, this is how my granddaddy did it and they survived. Yeah, but they survived through a fucking torrent of trauma, versus being able to go over here and survive in a place of peace and mental clarity and a place of self-confidence that every choice that you make, it's a choice that's come from thoughts versus a choice that comes from being reactive.
What has the military taught you about resilience?
The military has taught me a lot about resilience. Resilience is one of those things to where it's right there with determination. And if you don't have it, I'm not really sure how far you're going to be able to go, because it's a necessity in order to be able to endure the hardships, the verbal assaults, especially at basic training. You're going to have that resilience, because it's something that's going to be new. It's something that's going to be unfamiliar to you, and how you handle that will drastically change everything about you. So, having resilience is like having your resolve.
Okay. Now, is there anything important that I didn't ask you or you would like to share?
I mean, it depends. Is this mainly geared towards people looking to make a possible career out of the military service, or are we talking to the veterans who've had issues with military service? Are we talking to the current service members who are looking to transition, or if they're considering staying in for the full ride? It depends.
I'd say a little bit of both, but okay. Is there any advice that you would give to that 18-year-old that's getting ready to graduate from high school next month and enlist in the military?
So the piece of advice that I would give to this 18-year-old high school students who's getting ready to graduate high school and start their brand new military career in the United States military would be to, first off, have a why. Have a rhyme and a reason of why you're there, because having something to focus on will drive you a lot further versus just living by the day, just riding by the seat of your pants. Because I knew that I wanted a job and that I knew I wanted opportunity, but I didn't really understand what that looked like for me. For example, all of my friends went to college, right? I could have taken college classes, but due to the fact of I didn't have a solid game plan of what my life was going to be like, so therefore college wasn't that big of a deal to me. I didn't have a necessary game plan and goals. So that's one of the main things I would say when it comes to this young 18-year-old. Be sure that you have a plan. Be sure that you have some understanding about what's the next, what does the next 4 to 5 years of your life look like? Because these next 4 to 5 years will be very impactful. Most military contracts are 4 years. So, that, depending on your job, the first year is going to be basic training. The first year is going to be um, basic training, AIT, and if you're infantry, then you have OSET, which is all put in together, and that's held down there. But again, just have a understanding why, and have an understanding of, again, what you want out of life, because that's really going to determine how your military career progresses. So, yeah, have a plan, have a goal, and that way the military can help you align their resources with your particular goals. As long as your goals align with the goals of the military, you'd be good to go.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, so we're getting ready to wrap this thing up. Is there anything that you would like to tell me or any other viewers or anything about what you're doing now with your life, or is there any hobbies or anything that you are proud that you have going on for yourself?
So one of the things that I would like to tell the young people, the audience, everyone who's taken the time out to watch this particular video, I'm an author of this book called The Three Ring Theories. And I wrote this book specifically for people in transition, people like myself who are military veterans transitioning into civilian life. A lot of people, I met and talked to a lot of veterans who just, they have an understanding of what they want to do, but again, the concept, the planning, the rhyme and reasoning, that all was sometimes foreign to them. So I wrote things like this particular. It's what I call Ring One, which is my mind map. If you look at it, it's similar to a clock because time flows in a direction. So I believe when you make choices, you should make choices in a particular sequential order. For example, right here it says you have the mental status, meaning what was your mental status at the time? So first off, I'm gonna back up. I'm explaining to you real quick how this works. When you have a thought in your head that says, I'm thirsty. So naturally you will want to quench said thirst, right? So first you have to check your mental status, right? If you're in your right state of mind, if you're delirious, if you're coming out of a state of anger, a state of fit, but now you want to drink, how are you going to quench that thirst? That will influence the next step, which is your voice of reason. Because again, if you're in a rough state, your voice of reason is saying get something to drink so you can survive. If you're in a state of heightened awareness, or if you're in a fun state, if you're out in the club, if you're in a relaxed state, maybe your voice of reason is saying, okay, now we can go for something a little stronger because, we got the time and opportunity. Then you have to go through the thought process in which how you're going to execute getting said drink. Because then, whether it's water, whether it's alcoholic beverage, or whether it's a smoothie, you got to have a plan on how you're going to get that. And then, your conscious self is just your conscious self is going to be the last thing that, your conscious mind is going to be the last thing that tells you to get up and go execute said plan. So whether that plan is, again, getting yourself a nice glass of water, getting yourself a thing, there's a process. We all have a process in which we go through, or in which once you identify that you just make thoughts rationally, then you have to understand you have to ask yourself, why do I make these thoughts? Why do I have these thoughts? What's driving me to have these thoughts? And once you understand the process and the rhyme and the reason of how you do things, then I believe you can be on the path to making better choices and making decisions for yourself. But again, it takes a lot of self-awareness, evaluation, like understanding what you want out of a situation before any of this is valid.
Mr. Etorian Hines.
We're real quick, since the light cutoff, is it darker? Is it lighter? Or is it fine?
It looks still the same to me.
It look the same? Okay. It's cool. If it look the same, it's no problem. I just want to add one more thing that I believe people should do. Okay. And one more thing, another thing that I have included in my book is a weekly planner. Now, the reason why I'm very adamant about this weekly planner is because a lot of veterans I know, they don't really have a plan because they get out of the military again. A lot of times they're 100%, so they don't necessarily have to work. And a lot of people's job don't always translate over into a civilian job. So there's this awkward planning time of, I'm here now, I got to decide, do I want to go to school, or do I want to, try to get a job with the knowledge that I already have, so there's a lot of in between there. And having a daily, weekly and a monthly planner really helps you know where you spend your time at. And once you have your time aligned and locked down, it will give you the opportunity to, really focus in on things, really understand, that there's no need to be frazzled or to be, upset or stuck in this state of uncertainty, because now you know exactly where your time is, you know exactly how your time is going to be spent, and now you know the amount of time, the capacity that you have in which to give to others. And you have to be important and stay on top of the time that you give to yourself, because again, if you don't understand that you have an issue, because most of the times people who are coming to counseling or people who are in the VA, they're there for something. Me personally, it's PTSD for me, along with some other things. But when I'm going to the counselor about PTSD, I have to be willing to be honest. I have to be willing to be vulnerable, because again, how he's going to do his job if I'm not allowing him, because I'm holding back, or I'm just having misunderstandings, or it's just been a lot of ways that I've gone through the years that it took me literally about 10 years to write this book, because I'll start, then I'll stop, and then I'll write a little bit, and then I erase it, and then it was a lot of understanding about what this book who it's for, what it could be for, and the tool. I wanted it to be a useful tool versus just a general read, which is why I have places, even in the back of each chapter, there's a place to journal. There's some food for thought questions, because I want you to be able to actually reflect on what you read and actually take something from it and have a place to jot down those notes, versus just reading through it and then once you get done with it, now you have to go and get another journal. And I try to make it all in one spot for you. So again, the book isn't that long. I believe it's only 100 some pages. There's only 6 chapters. Again, it goes over time. It goes over, your family, your understanding of trying to make light of the situation around you, trying to make light of how you spend your time, trying to make light of your emotional choices. And again, this all came from years of talking to people, years of counseling, years of trying to just understand myself. So, I try to cut you guys out the years and, put it all in this book for you. You can find it on Amazon. You can find it on Barnes and Nobles. You can find it on Walmart. The 3-Ring Theory by Etorian Hines. You can even find it on college campuses, any online bookstore. Just look for Etorian Hines, the 3-Ring Theory by Etorian Hines. It's gonna pop up anywhere. But for the most easiest, you can go on Amazon, or you can go on my Instagram. There's a link in the bio, Mr. Etorian Deshaun. And again, I'm Etorian Hines, and I appreciate you for having me, bro.
Thank you very much. You got yourself. Man, I appreciate it.
Yeah, for sure. What's up? Do you need something? Or you trying to be in the video?
I would like to be in the video.
But this ain't about you. Come around here. Get daddy a quick clip of this next question. Can you repeat that last question for me? Just stand up over there.
Okay.
Just get like a background. Scoot back, so scoot back. Get all this, bro. There you go. Sorry, I'm dealing with my young content creator right here. All right.